Today's craft. Today's craft, what is it? It's something that was in my brain. It was leaking into my brain, and I was just like, I gotta get this thing out. I have to get it out of my brain and see if it works. And you know those mushroom lamps? Everybody's DIY'd those mushroom lamps. You take a glass bowl, you spray paint the inside of it. You take a glass vase, you spray paint the inside of that. You take one of those puck LED things and you stick it up into the bowl, and boom, you've got one of those 1970s, 1960s mushroom lamps. I wanted to do something grander, but at the same time smaller. This is what would happen if you took mushroom lamps, that idea, and the idea of Christmas lights, and you put them together. You put them together and you smashed them up. This is what you would get. Mushroom lamp Christmas lights. R&D hasn't figured out a name yet, but it's close. We're getting close. Yes, I forgot to tell you, if you're new here, which you have to be, because this is my first video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. The top part of the mushroom might be hard for you to source. I went to the local Rite Aid and I went to their pantyhose section. I dropped some pantyhose there on my head. And I went in and I was like, I'm looking for your pantyhose. I'm looking just for those little containers, those little mushroom style containers. And they told me they discontinued them. But they had a weird shelf with like weird products, and maybe they were in there still. So I went over and I found 11 of these, which is perfect. I needed 10, one to grow on, and I got 11 of these mushroom caps. And now I have 11 pairs of trouser socks. And I don't go into an office. So after you've removed all of your stickers, the bottom of the mushroom caps, the trouser socks, and put them gently into your trouser sock drawer, you're going to cut a square in the top of your cap with an X-Acto knife. Please make sure that your blade is sharper than mine. When you don't have a sharp blade, that's how you get injuries, and mine was not sharp. It's actually quite surprising that I didn't remove most of my hand with that unsharp blade. Next, you're going to take your acrylic paints and roll them around, and that's going to dry for like 8 hours. And my problem here was I had used green, yellow, red, blue because I wanted a kind of a primary color look, but the blue, the yellow, and the green were too pigmented and no light shone through. You definitely want to keep checking that stuff out to make sure that you can see the light from your Christmas lights. So I said, all right, it's time to go to Joann's. It was the Monday after Black Friday, and it was crazy in that Joann's. Look at that end just falling off the shelf. It was nuts. So I got a couple of paints. I got an expensive green fluid acrylic, a cheaper fluid acrylic for yellow, and I got another one a little bit later that came in a little dropper for blue. But first I decided I was going to do a watered down version of blue to see if that helped. And I can already tell you, because I did it. I already did it. I know what happened. The green, more expensive acrylic, the pigment was so beautiful and it flowed so nicely. However, the pigment was still too dark. I couldn't see any light through it. It was like even less light. It was like that black, you know, that black that some dude invented? That's, doesn't have any light go through it. That's this green. It was so dark. The same happened for the watered down blue. And the yellow actually turned out pretty well. And I think that's primarily because there was a lot of air trapped in it. And I think that actually kind of helped make it more see-through. So I tried this dropper. It was a little bit more expensive blue. And this stuff was cool because it dried in like 20 minutes. Everything else that I did, it took overnight to dry stuff. This was dried almost immediately. And then I went and got a green fluid acrylic, one of the more cheaper ones. I thought maybe it would be less pigmented. Next day, nope, still can't see light through it. I still can't see any light through it, so I just ate it. No, I didn't. I didn't eat it. I gotcha. So I went to my last methodology, spray paint. Now, if you have spray paint and all the colors that you want to do this with, go the spray paint route. It's so much easier. I don't know why I was like, I have to do acrylic paints. I must figure this out with acrylic paints. Spray paint was way easier. It is still a little bit streaky, but it's thinner. It dries way faster. Spray paint, baby. 2024. All right, we've had enough talking about the caps of the mushrooms. We need to move on to these stems, girls. We need to move on to these stems. And so what you need to do is just get some vellum paper. Take your vellum paper, cut it into a 3-inch by 3-inch square. Take some little clips, clip the thing together. Then you're going to take some hot glue and maybe some E6000 to really secure this closed. And you're going to glue it together. Just glue it together. E6000 is preferred. I'll tell you why, because that is thin paper and you will burn your hands several times. I'm just here to warn you. Now, after everything's dried and you're happy with how it all looks in the cap area, you're just going to go scrape through, kind of like clean up the bottom. And then I did a coat of the red paint, just a little bit on the outside of the rim, so at least kind of matched. And it made it look a lot cleaner. Okay, so just do that. It makes it look a lot cleaner. At this point, I realized that I did not want to use the lights that I had been showing you because they were plug-in and they got hot. And you don't want hot in plastic. You want not hot. So I needed to use some LEDs, which were much smaller, and I needed to secure those in place. So I ended up cutting a little circle out of vellum paper, securing that with E6000 and pressing it into the top and just holding it until it was kind of firm and letting that dry. Let it dry, let it harden, another overnight situation. But if you use spray paint, then you don't have this problem. You're still the same day. Look at you go. Still same day. So after you've gotten all of your circles cut out and placed in and they're hardened and you've let them dry, then you just relax, baby. Just get you a cold drink or a hot drink and relax. You can start to see it. This is pretty cute. It's looking pretty cute. It's looking very cute. Look how cute these guys are. If you want to take them home, you will, because you're going to be doing this at home. So your next step, with your now new nice blade that you put in your X-Acto knife, cut an X in the top of your vellum paper in your cap. That will secure your light in place. Unless you stayed with the original plan, which was the lights that you were building this whole thing around. Then you don't have that problem. After you get your light secured, you're going to take some of your E6000 glue, which is a slower drying glue, as you know, and put it on that cap where the vellum paper hits. And then you're going to take some hot glue, which is a faster drying glue, but isn't as great as E6000, and you put it on the stem. Then you're going to put those two together and hold it in place for a little bit, clamp it there with your hand, and watch some TV. I think it's time for that reveal. Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh yeah. So now you don't have one vintage inspired lamp. You got 10. You have 10 little mushroom lamps, and they look pretty stinking cute, if I do say so myself. Okay, the biggest con of this whole thing, though, let's talk about it, is that because you're using plastic and clear plastic, and you're trying to get this color to pop through the other side, you can't prime it, you can't sand it, because that'll damage the plastic. So your paint will chip. The spray paint was better for this, but when I ended up gluing the stem to the cap, we did have some issues with the glue and the paint starting to move around, but still pretty cute. So there you have it. Mushroom Christmas light lamps. I don't know if there's a good way to put it together, but that's what it was. Pros and cons. If you can figure out how to get spray paint, or if you have spray paint, or if you only want to do one color of spray paint, much easier than trying to do 4 different colors. That could be crazy. But the cons of spray paint, that glue will eat through it, apparently. Glue and vellum paper and spray paint, not a great combo. So those are kind of the cons. You just have to be careful with what you're doing. I hope that you make this because I want to see mushroom light Christmas lamps take off. I want it to be the next Bill and Ted's adventure. I want them to have a convention. I want them to have a convention. I want them to be so big that they have to rent out a convention center. And then one of them gets a little too drunk at the convention center and they're all like, oh no, here comes that one mushroom light Christmas lamp. He gets so crazy drunk. Like he really needs to not get that drunk. But then the other ones are like, well, he's got a big family. He's got a huge family and he's always got them with them. They're always with him.